Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kennedy Compound. I'm Mark Kennedy, your host, and this is Bold Predictions, Week 5, or as I like to call it, the Battle for Atlanta. Because this week, one of our games is going to put someone in the driver's seat and someone behind the eight ball in that trip to go up there and represent the SEC for the championship game. Now, the game, we'll discuss it in a moment, doesn't mean that the loser's out, but it's tough sledding. It's going to be very tough sledding. So when two of the elite get to knock heads, it's worth watching. And they're going to have this prime time game. Pretty excited about this. Anyway, only got 6 games this week, and that's going to be a good one. Actually, we got some pretty good games. Well, with the exception of 2. Mississippi State. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let me go ahead and first off, we are if you've been watching the season, we are bourbon is our sponsor, and some of you are probably on your second, third bottle by now. Anyway, so well, good luck to you. But anyway, it's been an interesting season already. We're not quite halfway there, and I'm going to try to do a halfway recap when we get there. I've been wanting to do this, but we haven't been able to really evaluate the teams really, really well. For me, just be able to say, this team is this team is that, this team is this. Except for maybe Florida, Mississippi State. We know what they are. Georgia, Alabama, we kind of know what you are. Texas, we know you are. And y'all are going to duke it out here soon. We'll talk more about that. Anyway, let me go ahead and get into the bold predictions week before I ramble on and burn up all my time. First game up, this is your 11 o'clock kickoff. Why 11 o'clock in the Grove? I mean, yep, Kentucky at number 6 Ole Miss. I mean, 11 o'clock. I mean, they ain't got time to get a good buzz. I'm just kidding. It's Ole Miss. That won't be a problem. But here's what you got. Kentucky's come down. They're 2-2. They got murdered by South Carolina. They lost by 1 to Georgia, and Georgia is the cat's meow football. So we don't really know what we got in Georgia, but we do know. Kentucky, but we do know this from the sample size we've had. Defense is great. Offense is maybe a little lacking. What I feel like is going to happen in this game is, and of course, Ole Miss, we don't know what you got because they've eaten cupcakes, may have diabetes, maybe overweight by now. But I feel like Ole Miss is going to score points, and Georgia's not going to be able to keep up. I think when it gets down to it, the pressure's on. It's going to be a convincing win, and when I tell you the score, you may say, "What's a blowout?" Not a blowout by standards being very convincing. I've got Ole Miss winning 38-13 over Kentucky. It'll be relatively close, and then you'll just see Ole Miss just eventually just get out there, and Kentucky won't be able to hang with them. I will say this: if Ole Miss were for some reason, some crazy reason, like score 21 points just like that, and I don't see it. Kentucky's got a good defense, but if they do, it's going to get ugly, real ugly. We're talking like a 50-burger ugly. So I don't predict that. Bold prediction, Ole Miss 38, Kentucky 13. Next game up is 2:30. They only got one 11 o'clock game, which, of course, Ole Miss gets that game. Go figure. You have Arkansas versus Texas A&M. This is at Jerry World. This is the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. So it's a neutral field. Don't really know who to say has the advantage. Both teams have played there a lot. How do you summarize this game? A&M has been weird. Talent-wise, I would argue that they are a better team. Arkansas has just been nuts. Now, they've won games, like, for example, last week against Auburn. Statistically, Auburn won that game. Scoreboard, Arkansas handed it to them. Arkansas is just, they seem to be very gritty. They seem hard-nosed. They seem like they're playing real well. A&M, defense is great. Offense is, well, you don't know. They're on quarterback 2 or 3 by now, and that's been a recurring theme. At least Arkansas has stuck with one quarterback. I think, as a matter of fact, I'm not mistaken, I think Mertz, their quarterback is out for this game. They're starting their backup quarterback. This is A&M, that is. I think they got some issues. And I say issues like trying to sort stuff out. And this has been a recurring theme throughout the SEC all year long. Several teams are on quarterback number 2 already. And I don't think that bodes well. Should A&M beat them? I think so. Are they going to beat them? I don't think so. I've got a bold prediction. Arkansas 28, Texas A&M 24. I think it's going to be a good game. And I don't know. It's like Sam Pittman's like fighting for his job security, and he's doing it. That's the funny thing here. So we're going to see what happens. A&M, I mean, Arkansas, you give up a lot of running yards, and A&M likes to do that. I just got a feeling that somehow or another they're going to eke it out. Let's see how that happens. Anyway, you got my bold prediction. We're going to go with this. Now, also at 2:30, number 21 at Auburn. Now, I put a lot of thought into this game. And I'm going to tell you, on Monday morning, I was sitting there telling myself, I actually think Auburn has a chance to win this game. I mean, like I said last week, statistically, they beat Arkansas. And if you listen to Hugh Freeze this week, we played them 9 out of 10 times, we'd win. Well, that one time you didn't. Auburn, you got some issues too. You got a coach that's blaming the team, the players, quarterback controversy, and you've gone from your first string quarterback to your second string quarterback, who went back to your first string quarterback, and who knows what they're going to do. Well, I got a feeling I know what Oklahoma's going to do. Offensively, they're hurting. It's going to be hard. It's going to be some tough sledding offensively to score points against Auburn. But Auburn is mistake prone, and you really don't know what you're going to get. So basically, I'm counting Oklahoma's defense to get them in, keep them in this game. And to be honest with you, I'm actually giving a little bit more points than maybe I should. But this is bold predictions, right? My bold prediction of this game is Oklahoma 27, Auburn 24. This is at Auburn. If that happens that way, Hugh Freeze, you're going to start feeling a little heat there in the collar, buddy. Anyway, just keep your mouth shut and coach, buddy. Just keep your mouth shut and coach. Next up is Mississippi State Bulldogs as they go to number 1 Texas. Moment of silence. Anyway, so, all right. State's quarterback is out for the year. Shoulder injury. They've got their true freshman. I think it's true freshman, if I'm not mistaken. That's in playing. And State, here's what I tell you. Everybody's like, oh, we suck. We're this. You are a rebuilding team, right? You're rebuilding. You're starting from ground zero. So here's what you do. Go out to Texas. Are you going to be the number 1 team in the country? No. You're playing with house money. Anything and everything positive that you do is just bonus, right? You score a touchdown against Texas, wow. You score 2, like, oh my God, Go out there, take a brick, 1 brick, set it right there on the ground, and start your foundation. Go out there and play your hearts out. If you get blown out, so be it, but don't just hang it up. I mean, go out there and give them everything you got. Texas is going to kill a lot of people. It ain't just you. It's everybody. So go out there and do your best. Meanwhile, little Arch, he's going to have a field day. I'm so sorry. Anyway, bold prediction is Texas 52, Mississippi State 9. And I really thought about giving State some more points than that. I'm just afraid. But it would not surprise me. I just want to say this. My bold prediction, 52 to 9. But if State was to hang like 17 points on them, 20 points, I wouldn't be shocked. Because we'll just say they seem a little resilient. They haven't caved in yet. Keep it up, folks. Keep it up. Next game is the 6:30 game. This is the one. This is the battle for Atlanta. We got a handful of games with the upper echelon, as we say, in SEC play each other. Alabama is going to have to play Texas eventually. Ole Miss will play Georgia eventually. Right now, you've got Georgia at Alabama. And I cannot tell you how many times I've gone back and forth with this game. I went through all the in case you haven't watched my videos before. In Vegas, they use what they refer to as advanced metrics to determine who may or may not win. You ever seen these little lines that says this team has a 94% chance of winning, this has a 6%? Well, they put all these things together and they add it up, and then you wind up with this like a 60-40, 70-30, whatever percent win-loss thing. I don't use advanced metrics. I use advanced yardage because this is America. I use yardage playing football. See right here? This is yards. Yards is what this is. That's what I use too. I've been back and forth. Both defenses are elite. Georgia's offense seems, I'm going to say, mediocre. You can tell they missed their tight ends from last year. Alabama runs the ball extremely well. But can you run against Georgia? They seem to be, even though they run the ball very well, they seem to be very one-dimensional. If you look at their stats, it'll be 200 yards passing, 200 yards rushing, and win the game. It's going to be hard to do that. You can't be one-dimensional against Georgia. Meanwhile, Georgia against Alabama is going to have to, you're going to have to play better offense because you haven't overwhelmed anyone. The only person you looked really, really good against was Clemson. And for most of that game, you didn't. It's just the very end there, Clemson just finally wore down and you got points on them. You ain't going to do it to Bama. Now, there's all kind of, how do I put this? Little things that could affect this. Kirby Smart has a burr under his saddle after losing to the Alabama in the SEC championship last year and getting kicked out of the playoffs. That's still not sitting very well with him. Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. You need to look up his record. He has won everywhere he's gone. I mean, he ain't just won. I mean, he has won extraordinarily well at every facet, every level he's ever coached. And here he is at Bama. He is no pushover. Offensively, like I said, Bama's probably a little bit better. And Milroe throws a great deep ball. But his secondary, intermediate passing, stuff like that, lacks a little bit. Georgia isn't overwhelming offense, but they're consistent. But I think in the midst of all this, one of the outliers is this. Alabama has turned the ball over 6 times this year. Georgia, goose egg. So how do you determine this? I mean, it's really, really, this is a difficult game to pick. It really is. Most of the week, I've been Alabama. Some of the week, I've been Georgia. And they're at Alabama. You got to consider that too. So how do you ultimately decide who is going in? Because I've given reasons for each team to win this thing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to roll the bones, right? And whatever the bones say, we're going to go with. Oh my gosh. Well, that settled it. Okay, my bold prediction is Georgia 23, Alabama 17. The bones have spoken, and you can never go against the bones. Anyway, last game of the weekend is this. And this is going to be like a anticlimactic thing after the Alabama-Georgia game. But anyway, LSU is getting to play a night game. They're like, thank God. Anyway, but it's South Alabama. Oh, wah, wah, wah. Actually, South Alabama is not a bad team. I don't think it's anything that LSU can't handle. As far as cupcakes go, this is one of those that's going to push you a little. And you're not just going to go in there and slap them out of the way. They're going to make you're going to have to earn it, but they will. I mean, it's a night game in the Bayou. We know how those games go. So we're just going to sum this up like this. LSU, your offense has been, your defense has been, but you're going to beat them. Here's the bold prediction: LSU 38, South Alabama 17, and that's just how I feel like this is going to go down. Is it going to be a good win for them? And guess what, folks? It's going to start getting really real next week for everybody. And that's all I've got for this week. Those 6 games. I thought about throwing in a few others. We got Oklahoma State versus Kansas State. These are those other weird teams. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to run down the ranked teams playing. Number 20, Oklahoma State at number 23, Kansas State. Number 15, Louisville at number 16, Notre Dame. Number 19, Illinois at number 9, Penn State. And number 18, Iowa at Houston, who has played real well. None of those teams matter. I'm just going to tell you. The only 2 teams outside of the SEC that's any threat whatsoever, Miami Hurricanes and Ohio State. Other than that, there is nothing else out there for them to worry about. I'm just saying. Your Final Four could be, when the playoffs are said and done, could be all 4 SEC teams. That would not shock me. My bold prediction right now, as it stands, I was going to wait till 6 games in the season, midpoint. But I'm going to right now say that 3 of the 4 finalists, when the smoke clears in the playoffs, will be SEC teams. So what you're going to see this weekend is like a preview of that. Don't be shocked to see a rematch of Georgia and Alabama in January. Well, that's all I've got now. Don't forget, keep a bottle of this handy, especially if you're a State fan. Or if you're Florida, well, this ain't going to help. You need like morphine. Anyway, and we'll catch y'all folks next week. Anyway, happy hunting. Hope your team wins. Unless you're playing out Ole Miss. So, we'll see how it goes. Till then, folks, y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.